where it is rotating
This voice is
motion.
not hearing.
There he is rotating around
Miss,
him,
your
so that we call it as
voice is not hearing well.
Sure, ma'am.
Malika, mute.
your audio, all of you. Then we have discussed about oscillatory motion. What is
To and fro motion is called oscillatory motion, miss.
to and fro motion of an object? We call it as oscillatory.
Oscillatory.
So these are the basic things we have discussed in the last class. And we have also discussed about how you can object is a rest. When do we say that any object is at rest?
There is
Reaction ತಗೊಂಡೆ?
Miss, if it is not moving,
there is a no
Ma'am,
change.
it is not moving. Ma'am.
Yes. So if there is no change in position, so whenever you are defining anything, you should mention there clearly. No change in position with respect to time. No change in position with respect to time. So that we call it as with respect to time. Then we say the object is in rest position. So if there is no change in position, then we say the object is in rest. So these are the things that we have discussed in our last class. So in today's class, we'll move on with the next topic. So what is the next topic we have for today? About motion and the different types of motion. So we'll discuss today what is about the motion along a straight line. Motion of an object along a straight line. So in that main thing what you get is about the distance and displacement. So motion of an object along a straight line, when we are discussing, we get about the distance and displacement. So here actual length of the path traveled by a body, we call it as distance. Distance means the actual length of the path traveled by a body. So that we call it as distance. And in case of displacement, what we have? So displacement means, in case of displacement, we define it as it is the length of the shortest path traveled by a body from its initial point to the final point. So that we call it as displacement. So I'm showing you only the slides, children. So I'll explain you about this. What is displacement and what is distance now? Okay, so these two slides I uploaded in the study material section. You can go through that. Okay, now we'll discuss the motion along a straight line. So in that itself, you will be understanding what is distance and what is displacement clearly. Okay, children. So now we'll discuss about motion. Motion along a straight line. Motion along a straight line. So motion along a straight line means, think for example, a car is moving on the road. It is starting from point A and it is moving to the point B. Okay. So here point A, where it is starting from point A, that we call it as initial point. This we call it as initial point. Okay. And what we call for point B, that is final point. You can remember this, children, like initial point means the starting point and final point means the ending point. Now, where is the object now? What object we are talking? That is at point A. Imagine you are sitting in a car. Car, I can't draw it on the phone, so screen is small. So just imagine you are sitting in a car. Okay, you are in point A and you are moving to point B. Now tell me children, in how many ways you can move from point A to B?
One way
ಎಷ್ಟು ದಾರಿ?
I only one line.
miss.
One miss.
Okay, let me be clear. Just imagine you're sitting in your home, that you take it as point A, and point B you just imagine that is your government Adarsha Vidyalaya, your school, that is at point B. Now in how many ways you can come from your home to your school? ಎಷ್ಟು ದಾರಿ ಇದೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಕೂಲಿಗೆ ಬರಕ್ಕೆ?
Many ways.
Many ways. You will come along a straight line, or you can just move on and come. Just imagine, for example, your house is near what Durgama temple it is there. I think that is the center place. Everyone can imagine easily. So your home is at near the Durgama temple. So from that you can directly come in the Bangalore road and reach the school, or you can go to the SP circle and then you can go to the Moti circle and you can reach the school, or you can just go back to the Gandhi Nagar and SN Pet. You can go and again you can come and again go to the what, Bangalore road and you can reach the school, or think for example many other ways are there to reach the school. So there are different ways for you to start from your home to reach the school. Now, can you imagine what I am saying now? In all these paths, which is the shortest distance you will come across to reach the school?
Straight path.
That one line, straight line.
Straight line.
From A to B, Miss, direct.
Line there where you are not changing any direction. So that is the shortest path. And other path, whatever you are moving, so that all the actual path. So longest path you can go from point A to B. So how you can understand this is the shortest path that you move from point A. A is what we call here. A is the initial point.
Initial point.
What is B? B is the
Final point.
final point. So
Final point.
define the shortest path from initial point to the final point. We call it as displacement. Understood, children? The shortest path from initial point to the final point. We call it as displacement. And the actual path or the longest path that we are taking from initial point to the final point, we call it as distance traveled or distance. Okay, so in case of displacement, it is the shortest path. Displacement, how you define displacement? So what we have seen in the previous slide, it is the shortest path. The shortest path from initial point to final point. Here I am just writing for initial point, I am writing IP. You don't write that same in your notes. You write completely from initial point to the final point. FP means final point. The shortest path from initial point to the final point, we call it as displacement. and the distance means it is the longest path or the actual path. The longest you can remember or the path actual path from initial point to final point, so that we call it as distance. Now is it clear, children? Understood all of you what is distance and what is displacement? ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿದೆನಾ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ? Okay. So distance ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? Longest path. Displacement ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? Shortest.
The shortest distance.
Okay. Now one more example I'll tell you. See, all of you imagine, all of you remember your school building, right? Now, see, for example, this is your entrance gate. Here we have the entrance gate, and this is the corridor we are having, round corridor we are having, and this is how you are moving, right? Now, imagine your classroom is here. Okay, 9th standard classroom is here. Now, in how many ways you can go? You should start from here entrance. In how many ways you can reach your classroom?
3 ways, miss.
So in how many ways you can go? Either you can go in this corridor and reach to the 9th standard classroom, that is point, we can say it as path A, and in this way you can go and reach to the class, this is we call it as path B. And what is the third way?
Ground. Some ground.
Direct.
From
Direct
ground also.
class, 9th standard class. Now in these 3 ways, which are the longest path and which is the shortest path?
A, B, longest, miss.
A is longest, miss. C is shortest.
Longest
Ground, it is the shortest way.
Yes. So A and B are longest path and C is the shortest path. So then can you tell me what is which path denote distance and which path denote displacement in this case?
C is the distance, miss.
A and B are A and B are
Distance, miss. C is displacement.
displacement. C is displacement and A and B are the distance, because A and B, we are taking long distance, we are traveling longest path, so we call it as the distance. And in C, we are taking the shortest path, so we call it as displacement. Understood, children? What is the difference between distance and displacement now, all of you?
Yes, miss.
Now, all of you are familiar with the distance and displacement. Now, all of you are understood about this. Now, we'll just move on with the next, from problem side we'll take now. Now, imagine that you are having a straight path. So, just imagine like a number line. Okay. So, this is 0 and here we have 5, 10, 15, this is 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, I could write only up to 45 or 50. Okay. Okay, children. So I could write only up to 45. Okay. We'll discuss within this itself. Okay. So now imagine, children, this point O, we call it as 0, we take it as O, and this point 10, we take it as C, and this 25, I'll take it as B, and 45, I'll take it as A. Now, all of you can remember the points what I am taking. For 0, I am taking it as O. For C, I am taking it as 10. For B, I am taking it as 25. And for A, I am taking it as 45. Now, you are saying, for example, you are starting from point O. You are starting from point O. You will start from O and you will reach point A. You are starting from point O and you will reach point A. And after that you will turn back and move to point B. What I am saying, observe carefully, children. You are starting from point O, going to point A, and you will turn back and reach point B. Now I'll move to the next slide. Just all of you, hope you have written this figure in your notes.
Yes,
Did you
Miss.
write this note? Just put the arrow mark how I have marked. You are starting from point O, going to point A, and you are coming back to point B. Okay? Now, in this case, you should calculate what is the distance traveled. Distance traveled. So what is the distance traveled in this case? You are going from point A, or sorry, your starting point is O, then you are going to point A, then again you are starting from A to B. So what is the total distance traveled now? O to A. What is the distance we have O to A?
45, Miss.
0 to
40.
45.
40.
Plus, what is from A to B?
5, 10,
25 to
20.
45, Miss.
25.
What is
25.
45 to 25
25
feet back?
meters.
How many kilometers or meters?
20, Miss.
25.
5
8 will see here 5, 5, 5. So total how many 5?
20.
20, Miss.
So what is the total distance traveled here? 45 plus 20?
65, Miss. 65.
65.
Yes.
65.
Okay, children. Distance traveled, you got it as 65 kilometers. Understood? Now,
Yes,
observe in this.
Yes.
What is your starting point?
O, Miss.
0.
Oh, this is your
0.
significant point. And what is your final point?
45.
45, Miss.
Where you ended with?
B, Miss.
B.
Big
So what is
point,
your
Miss.
final
25.
25? Now, what is the shortest path from O to B?
O to B direct, Miss. O to 25.
So now we'll calculate displacement. Displacement, though you are moving from point O to A and again coming back from A to B, in distance we are taking only the magnitude, but in case of displacement along with the magnitude we also take direction. So here if you observe, children, you are changing your direction. When you reach point A, you are turning back. So when you are turning back means, suppose you are moving in this direction means you are moving in positive direction. When you turn back, in which direction you are moving?
Negative direction, Miss.
Negative direction.
So here, instead of AB, we take it as minus AB. In displacement, you get minus AB. Understood, children? Now,
Yes,
what
miss.
is OA? What is OA you have here?
45 kilometers.
0 to 45.
45.
45.
Plus, what is AB?
Yes.
What is
Minus
AB?
20.
minus 20.
Minus
Now
20,
what
ma'am.
you get? 45 plus into minus minus 20.
Minus
So
20.
minus
45 minus 20
25. 25.
20. 25.
meters. So displacement what you got is 25 kilometers
25,
and
miss.
25, miss.
5 kilometers. And observe children here, if you observe carefully, displacement what we got is the shortest path from initial point to final point, that you got it as 25 kilometers, and displacement what you got from initial point to the final point, that is 65 kilometers. Now understood children what is distance and what is displacement clearly, all of you?
Yes, miss.
S miss.
Okay, so you are calculating, when you are calculating distance traveled, you take only the magnitude. Adrinali positive, negative, plus minus ಏನು ತಗೊಳಲ್ಲ. When you are calculating displacement, we take positive and also negative signs. So this is about the distance and displacement. Is it clear children for all of you?
Yes, miss.
S miss.
Okay.
Yes,
All
miss.
of you understand about distance and displacement?
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Okay. So we'll now just list out some of the differences between this distance and displacement, and all of you write these points in your notes. What is distance and what is displacement? I think distance and displacement you have written. Distance and displacement. What is the difference between distance and displacement? What is the first point you will write in this?
Distance,
Miss
it is the
distance has
actual
the
path
longest
by
path,
means
miss.
traveled by an object.
Longest path.
Displacement is
Displacement
the
is
shortest
shortest
path.
path.
Shortest path, miss.
Displacement is the shortest path. And distance traveled. Here, distance traveled, we measure only magnitude. Only magnitude of length is measured. Magnitude of length is measured in case of distance. Here, along with magnitude, both magnitude and directions are measured. Both magnitude
Mag-
and directions are measured. Directions are measured in case of displacement. Understood children? In case of
Yes,
distance,
miss.
Yes,
only
miss.
magnitude length, and in case of displacement we measure both magnitude and direction. Is it clear now?
Yes, miss.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay.
miss.
Next we'll
Yes,
discuss
miss.
about the SI unit. SI unit. What is the SI unit of distance and displacement? Don't get confused children. Distance or displacement, whatever we are talking, both we are measuring only length. This we are not measuring whether speed or time. We are not including any other quantities. What we are measuring is purely length. Very length ಅಷ್ಟೇ ನಾವು measure ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. Length when we are measuring, the standard unit for measuring length is meter.
Meter.
Meter is the SI unit of distance and displacement. Both are having same SI unit. Distance to SI unit ಏನು ಅಂದ್ರೂ meter. Displacement to SI unit ಏನು ಅಂದ್ರೂ meter. Both you are measuring in terms of meter only. Okay. Meter is the SI unit of both distance and displacement. When you are writing SI unit of distance is meter, SI unit of displacement is also meter. Understood children?
Yes, miss.
S miss.
Okay. Okay. So now is it clear for all of you? What is distance and what is displacement?
S Miss.
Yes, miss.
Okay. So shall we do some more problems based on this distance and displacement now?
Okay, miss.
Okay, Miss.
Yes, miss.
Okay. So then write down the question. An object, an object, an object at point A, an object at point A is an object at point A move to a point C. Move to a point C in two ways. An object at point A, an object at point A move to the point C in two ways. In two ways. Full stop. Calculate the distance and displacement of the object. Calculate the distance and displacement of the object. An object is starting from point A and it is reaching to point C in two ways. Either it can go from A to B and B to C, or it can go from A to C directly. So in this case, you should calculate what is its distance traveled and what is its displacement. Understood, children? Understood this
S
question?
Miss.
Okay. What is distance and what is displacement?
Distance is 7, miss. Displacement is 5, miss.
How you
5 meters.
calculate distance? How you calculate distance?
Miss AB plus BC, miss.
Miss
AB
A to
plus
the B
B.
to the C.
So that is 3 plus 4. Sorry, I should write reverse. I written.
4
AB
plus
is 4 plus 3. So what we get? 7
7
meters.
meters.
Distance traveled. And what is displacement?
A to C, miss.
5. It is miss.
A to C, that is 5 meters. So
4.
displacement is 7 meters. 7 meters is the distance traveled and 5 meters is the displacement. Understood all of you?
Yes, Miss.
Yes, miss.
Okay.
Yes, miss.
Now one more problem will do. One more problem will do. This is point O. This is point P. And this is point. This is 7 meter and here also 7 meter. An object starting from. Next question, write down, children. An object at point P move to point Q in semicircular path. An object from point P move to point Q in semicircular path. An object at point P move to point Q in semicircular path. Calculate the distance and displacement of the object from point P to Q. An object at point P move to point Q in semicircular path. Calculate the distance and displacement of the object. Here given the radius of the semicircular path is 7 meter. Radius of the semicircular path is 7 meter. How will you calculate distance and displacement in this case? First tell me what is displacement.
P to Q.
14, miss.
P to Q. So P to Q, if it is going, it will go from PO plus OQ. So PO plus OQ means what you get? PO is 7 meters and OQ
Meters.
is 7
7.
meters. The total displacement you get
14.
14, miss. 14, miss.
calculate distance.
Miss,
How you
what
will
is
calculate?
radius?
P.
7 meters. It is given. Radius of semicircular path is 7 meters. How you will calculate distance? How to calculate distance now? Semicircular path. All of you remember what is circumference of circle formula?
2 pi r.
2 pi r.
Circumference of circle is circumference of circle. So that is 2 pi r. What is circumference of semicircle?
Pi r, miss.
2 pi r into
Pi r.
5 miss.
Pi r, miss.
Circumference of semicircle is pi r. So here pi r, if you observe, it is going along the semicircular path. Semicircle andre ಏನು? That is pi r itself. Now that is the distance traveled. Now you know what is pi value?
22 bus.
22 by 7.
22 by 7.
And what is radius of the semicircular path? What we have?
7.
7. 7 meter.
So what you get?
22, miss.
22 miss. 7 get cancelled.
Plus 7
22.
Vanessa. What you get?
22, miss.
22
22.
meters.
And you got 14 meters and distance you got 22 meters. So this is about the distance and displacement. District children now?
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Now?
Yes, miss.
Okay. So
Yes,
now
miss.
tell me, figure you are starting from point O. You are starting from point O, reaching to point A, and again coming back to point O itself.
A. 90 meters.
A in the point O to A and A to O. Can you tell me what is the distance covered in this?
90 kilometers.
90 meters.
Meters,
90 kilometers.
AO. So what you get? 45 plus 45. You get it as 90 kilometers.
90.
Is it clear now? Now what is displacement in this? What is the initial point here?
Miss,
Oh, miss.
nothing, miss.
Oh.
oh, miss.
0 kilometers, miss.
Final point is
A.
A.
you're not
So no, miss.
stopping
O,
at
miss.
point.
O only,
O
miss.
miss. Final point is
Oh,
O miss.
miss.
Yes, O itself. You are starting at point O and again you are coming back to point O itself. Then what is your displacement? How you write your displacement? 45 is from O to A and minus 45 is from A to O. So what is your displacement here?
0.
0
90
miss.
meters.
0 miss.
0
In
miss.
this, one thing you should remember here when you are writing the difference, distance traveled will never be equal to 0. never be 0, but displacement can be, it is never be 0 means always greater than 0 you can write. It is always greater than 0. Distance traveled is always greater than 0. But the displacement is either greater than 0 or greater than or equal to 0. Displacement can be equal to 0. Okay, so this point you should remember in difference between distance and displacement. Add this one point, children. Distance traveled will never be 0 or it is always greater than 0. That is, distance traveled will be always positive, but in case of displacement, it can be greater than 0 or it can be equal to 0 also. And when you get negative displacement, we take it magnitude of that. Okay, so how to take magnitude of that we'll be studying in your higher classes. Okay, so that is the difference you should remember in case of distance and displacement. One more last problem we'll solve based on this distance and displacement, children. Okay, so you just draw this. An object which is at point A move along the circular path and reaches to point A itself. Radius of that circular path is 35 meter. Radius of the circular path is 35 meter. Write down the question. An object which is at point A. An object at point A move in a circular path of radius 35 meter. Move in a circular path of radius 35 meter and reaches to point A. Calculate its distance traveled and displacement. Calculate its distance traveled and displacement. So you should tell me what is distance and what is displacement in this case.
Miss, distance is 3850 meters, miss, and the displacement is 0, miss.
So here your starting point is point A and your final point is also A itself. So when the starting point and final point, that is initial point and final point, both are same, what you get? Displacement is 0. And what about distance traveled? How you calculate this distance traveled?
Circumference, miss.
Circumference of circle. So that is equal to circumference of circle.
2 pi r.
Circumference, what is the formula you are using? 2 pi r. So that is 2 into 22 by 7 is 35. So r is 35. So if you cancel here, 7 ones are 7 5s are. So what you get? Distance traveled is, you can just do this calculation easily, children. Multiply 5 into 2. So you get 10. 22 into 10 is 220 meters. Why you get 110? 5 2s are 10. 10 into 22 you get 220 meters. So
Yes,
here what you get? Displacement is 220, distance is 220 meters and displacement is 0. Now understood all of you children what is distance and what is displacement?
Yes, miss.
Miss.
Okay. So we'll solve some more problems based on this in the next class. That is from your textbook part. We'll solve the problems based on this displacement and distance travel. Okay. So all these problems I'm uploading this in your study material section. You can just go through that, whatever the problems we have solved, and write it in your notes. Okay?
Okay, Miss.
And
Okay, Miss.
yeah,
Yes,
Okay,
Miss.
Miss.
class, you can go through the class recordings also. Okay? So if you have any doubts regarding today's class, you can ask me, children.
Miss,
Yes.
what is scalar quantity and vector quantity, Miss?
Scalar quantity means we measure only the magnitude. We will not see in which direction that object is moving. In vector quantity, we take both magnitude and also direction, in which direction that object is moving. See, for example, in case of distance, we have taken only O to A anta ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ವಿ, A to O anta ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ವಿ. So there we are not taking in which direction we are measuring. O to A we have taken 45 meters and A to O we have taken 45 meters, and there we have taken total what we got distance traveled is 45 plus 45, we got it as 90 meters. And what about displacement? When you have taken O to A, you have taken plus 45 meter, and A to O, there you have taken minus. Why you
Minus
have taken
45.
there minus 45? Why you have taken wait no. So there you are changing the direction. You are changing the direction. O to A ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಒಂದೇ direction ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು. A to O ಬರ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ there you are changing the direction. You are turning back. So when you turn back, there you are changing the direction. So ಅದನ್ನ negative ಅಂತ consider ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ. So whenever you take negative sign, so there you are considering direction also. So that we call it as vector quantity. ಯಾವ್ದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೀ ಮ್ಯಾಗ್ನಿಟ್ಯೂಡ್ ಮಾತ್ರ ಮೆಜರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಬರೀ ಲೆಂತ್ ಮಾತ್ರ ಮೆಜರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಅದನ್ನ ಸ್ಕೇಲಾರ್ ಕ್ವಾಂಟಿಟಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಯಾವ್ದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಬೋತ್ ಮ್ಯಾಗ್ನಿಟ್ಯೂಡ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಮೆಜರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಅದನ್ನ ವೆಕ್ಟಾರ್ ಕ್ವಾಂಟಿಟಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟುಡ್?
Okay. Yes, Miss. Thank you.
Okay. Still any other doubts? And from your class, 11 students got, I think, NMMS qualified. So congratulations for all of you. I think all of you got your results. So 11 students qualified from your class. Congratulations for all of you. Okay, children. So if you don't have any doubts in today's class, you can leave the class now. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.